Batman Arkham Asylum is the first in the Batman Arkham games. It was released in 2009 and took the world by storm. Nothing like it was out at the time, and it pioneered the free flow combat. This game has been talked about to death, but now I'm going to talk about it. I'm playing the Return to Arkham version. It's the same as the original, but the graphics are a little prettier. The game starts with Batman bringing in the Joker into Arkham Asylum. Tonally, it's dark and stays that way the whole time. We also see Killer Croc, and this was my introduction to Killer Croc. He's huge and intimidating. Voice acting is top-notch, as Kevin Conroy is Batman and Mark Hamill is the Joker. Joker does escape a little bit too easily. It's kind of pathetic. But I guess he needed to escape for this game to happen. I just mean him escaping so close to Batman just kind of feels wrong, but again, we do need it to happen to start the game. The combat works by pressing X and the direction of your attack. I am using Xbox controls. Then to counter, you press Y. Your cape can stun enemies, and as you upgrade yourself, you can use special takedowns. It's very simple, but it's so much fun and super satisfying to do. They added so many different animations that the fights always look awesome. They also always end with a slow motion finish if it's the last guy. The only issue I have with the henchmen in this game is that they all have the same body build and very minor differences other than skin tone. This will be fixed in later games. Enemies attack one at a time, which isn't noticeable unless you look for it. But future games fix that while keeping the combat just as good. The sound effects of the fights are also amazing. You can even hear bones breaking. Sometimes slow motion attacks don't always quite work out though, and they glitch badly.
Captain Hulk is stuck. No, Batman!
There's also really cool environmental things that happen as well. Sometimes a throw can cause a glitch. Free flow combat also sounds amazing. Huge hits and you can hear bones break. It's incredible and every hit feels powerful.
Yeah, go back and play with that for a few more hours. What the hell is that? You're gonna bleed back.
The mini-bosses are filled with a formula called Titan, which is a special strain of Bane's venom. The mini-bosses, you basically wait for them to charge, you throw a batarang to blind them, then you punch them, then run away, and you repeat that till you win. One of the cool things about the Titan monsters is you can ride them at certain points and control them to attack other enemies. You earn XP for the fights you are in, and the XP gives you rewards, with either stronger health, new attacks, gadget upgrades, or new gadgets. Then there's the stealth aspect of the game, where you have to take down men with guns in a variety of ways, using gadgets and stealth and picking them off one by one, trying not to be seen. Batman also has detective vision, which lets him see special things, structural weaknesses, how many people there are, if they're armed, etc. This aspect's amazing too. Like, of course the combat is the best, but the stealth is amazing as well. The game is honestly really good and makes you feel like such a badass. I will say the AI isn't super smart, but they're still bright enough to kill you if you fuck up. The inmates sometimes ragdoll in weird ways. Batman also has ledge takedowns, silent takedowns, inverted takedowns, just a lot of takedowns. The way to defeat your enemies during stealth has a lot of variety for you to pick and choose how to do things, where to hide, etc. There's tons of collectibles too, in the form of Riddler trophies and tapes. There are also Joker teeth scattered about that can be destroyed with batarangs. Throughout the game, Oracle will be talking to us about things. It's a good way to spill exposition without Batman talking to himself.
I know, but...
Oracle, I'm getting him back. Joker will not win. I won't let him. I'm starting where he was taken.
Batman's very brutal in the Arkham games, and I love that. The game throws a lot of puzzles at you, which can range from what the hell does the game want me to do to pretty good. I'd say most of the Arkham puzzles are pretty easy, and if you want more challenging ones, the Riddler trophies are scattered about. The game also has Batman doing detective shit. Basically, he can scan liquids or fingerprints and use it to find which way to go. There are also hidden messages from Amadeus Arkham hidden throughout the asylum. You can decipher and learn his story. The platforming between fights feels tedious and slows down the story a lot, being my least favorite part of gameplay. Sometimes backtracking is required as well. These aren't necessarily bad things, but they feel like empty, slow parts of the game, like filler. Although it does give you time to look at and appreciate scenery more. The inmates at the asylum were not well taken care of. Imagine if Bruce Wayne funded a better asylum that actually worked and treated patients well. But, no, I guess it's just easier to dress as a bat and beat them up. The whole game takes place on Arkham Island with multiple buildings and locations to explore. Luckily, the map isn't too bad, but some areas are blocked off, making you have to use weird ways to get to them. I like to do this thing where whenever characters are talking, I make the cameraman look at just their crotches. It's really stupid, but it's funny to me. One more quick complaint. Victor Zsasz is in the game, but he's just used as a tutorial of how to throw and aim your batarangs. I don't know a ton about Zsasz, but the show Gotham made me love him, and I wish he was just a bigger part of this game. Harley Quinn is in this game, and she has a new uniform. I honestly really like this version of her outfit, and everyone's outfit in this game. It all fits the universe well. Harley Quinn mainly taunts you while you fight people and adds some challenges to the fight. Her character is great. Harley doesn't really have a boss fight and is instead beaten in a cutscene. Also, Joker is a dick to Harley, just like in everything. Why do people say dumb shit like, I want a relationship like Joker and Harley? Like, really? There's also this moment where Batman could clearly stop the Joker, but he doesn't. Once again proving to me that Batman is just as much of a criminal and is just as responsible for the deaths as the villains are. Bane is very similar to the Titans, which I'm okay with since, he is using Titan. But I honestly prefer something different to distinguish him as more of a threat than those mini-bosses. After beating him, he still comes after you, and you have to use the Batmobile to take him down. Scenes with Scarecrow are good at bringing in horror aspects, and his boss levels are filled with creativity as you attempt to fight off the fear toxin and struggle to discern reality. Did Jim Gordon die? Were you just in this room? Maybe. Maybe not. The Scarecrow fights have gorgeous visuals and a haunting soundtrack. Scarecrow's levels are so good, I've seen a ton of games copy the style after it came out. Whenever you lose, the villain you lost to will say something, and it's a really neat touch.
And at the end of fear, oblivion.
Scarecrow, of course, uses Bruce's parents' death as a scene, because how can you have a Batman story without mentioning how dead his parents are? The Scarecrow levels remind me a lot of some of the places in Alice Madness Returns, which is another amazing game. The game glitches, and when this happened to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, I legitimately thought the game was breaking. But no, it's a Scarecrow thing, and it replays the beginning of the game, but this time Joker is there and Batman is strapped up. This leads to our final Scarecrow boss, with weird, insane Batmans that I can assume are actually inmates. Scarecrow looks amazing, his levels are just amazing, he's the highlight of the game to me. Killer Croc is actually the one who ends up defeating Scarecrow, as Scarecrow was going to drop fear toxin into the water. The Killer Croc fight is a lot of walking slowly to not disturb him, and then him getting disturbed, and then you hitting him with a batarang. Sometimes it's honestly hard to tell where he's coming from, though he isn't really a threat until the very end. And at the end, you are just running and trying hard not to die, and you end up beating him with a trap. I honestly like this boss fight. It shows the intimidation of Croc, and Batman has to think on his feet and can't just beat him straight up with brawn, because Killer Croc's much bigger and stronger. Poison Ivy's outfit in this game is the only one I'm not a big fan of. I'm sure many people disagree, because, booba, and butts, but to me it just looks dumb. I do like the plants growing on her, it's a nice touch, and I like that her skin is greenish. At some point, Poison Ivy will have all these gross plants around, and they often did more damage to me than other enemies, so I try to kill them before they release their fireball type things. The Poison Ivy fight is all about dodging and spamming her with a gazillion batarangs. It's an okay boss. Whenever she's down, you just punch her plant shield and rinse and repeat until she's beaten. Another character that is not really talked about in here is Clayface. He's in this game as a cameo. He's a prisoner who will shapeshift, trying to make you let him out, but going into detective vision, you can see he has no bones. It's really cool, just him acting. Unfortunately, there isn't a way for you to let him out though. As you come up to the final Joker battle, some of his men will clap for you and throw a party for you. You don't have to fight them, but, XP, so I planted explosives by them and started the fight.
Gonna beat the crap out of you!
I really appreciate that as this game goes on, Batman looks more beaten and his cape is more torn up. I love details like that. So we fight more Titan mini-bosses while Joker watches, and he decides to shoot himself with Titan for the final fight. I know this was hated, but why? Joker's always turned himself into sorts of things before he beat Batman. But this fight is well hated by the fan base. Although I gotta say, I guess I don't like it much either, but not because Joker transformed. I dislike it because somehow Titan gave Joker a mohawk. How did that happen? I also dislike it because you weren't really fighting him. He attacks, you fight his men, he gets distracted by a helicopter, you yank him down, his hands get stuck, you punch him. So what's wrong with that? Well, nothing, if that was just part of it, but it's not. That's the whole fight. You repeat that 3 times. Other than Zaz, it's the worst boss in the entire game, which is a disappointment, as it's the last. I do love the Joker's look, but making him stupidly get distracted by a helicopter over and over again is dumb. And this ending scene is just cheesy and dumb to me.
Ready for the next round?
Always.
What?
I'll never let you win. Never.
With the game over, you can replay it with your upgrades, search for all the Riddler puzzles and such, and there is a challenge mode where you can practice some fights. And as the Joker, you can fight police instead of inmates, including Jim Gordon, so that's a cool touch.
Time for a little vacation, Arkham.
You also unlock neat statues and a dope-ass Batman armored outfit. Arkham Asylum is an amazing game that still holds up and introduced so many cool features and systems that games all over use today. A fantastic game and one that led to a whole Arkham series. And yes, I will try to talk about all 4 games, so make sure to like and subscribe so you can see when I do.